Hey, so this is my honest review of the app Medito and meditating in general. Now, if you just came from TikTok over here to YouTube and are looking through YouTube Shorts and whatnot, the 5 second summary for those of you with the TikTok 5 second attention span is first, meditating with guided meditations really sucked because I got to know it in my yoga and meditation class. And while I was really pro meditation, even then, the guided meditations were just so much talking that you had no time to focus. And it actually took me out of focus before my own thoughts would, which was extremely deconstructive because it was just way too beginner. And then later, I just did it with in silence, but in silence sucks. And then I did it with music, but the music was actually distracting and kind of defeated the purpose after a while, even though it was good at first to get me to sit down, but the actual quality wasn't there. And then afterwards, I did Medito, and even though I'm still not quite consistent, the duration is way longer, and the way of guided meditation actually helps me come back to focus. Instead of being on one long thought strain for 15 minutes, every 5 minutes or so, at least in the longer sessions, in the shorter sessions, it builds up. It's nice because the guided sessions build up, and at the beginner stages, you're going to be reminded every few seconds. You're going to be talked through some cool facts and whatnot, and later on, it's only every 5 minutes, and then only 10 minutes, etc., etc. So that's why I actually think Medito is quite useful. Now, let's get into the non-TikTok brain rot quick edition. I'm still going to try to keep it short. I took this one yoga class, and almost no one took it seriously. Everyone just used it to sleep during the meditation sessions, and barely did the yoga sessions properly, except for those like 2-3 girls who already did yoga all day long anyway. And I heard about meditation quite a lot. I watched a video about a Zanzenkai, or I don't know how to pronounce it, Zenzenkai or something, which is a 10-hour Buddhist meditation session. Obviously not straight because blood circulation is a problem. So every 3 hours or so, you stand up, you have a little walking break, then there's a few breaks in between where you're purposely moving. But aside from, of course, health interventions like not literally sitting 10 hours in a row without bathroom or food or water, though doing it fasted, of course, does have its benefits. But the one I was watching was just regular 10-hour with eating and drinking some tea and whatnot. It also had other people, and the guy was looking at a wall for most of the session, sitting on a comfortable pillow. So it's quite straining on the body to be in that one position that long. As anyone who's coming back from summer break to school, back to school, and then has no gym the entire day might feel, except that in this case, you don't even get to go between classes. You have less walking time, and you are there for a whole 10 hours. So, quite extreme. And that made me think, oh, we'll do that. And to this day, I actually haven't done it. But the longest session I've done, I think, was 45 minutes or so. In total, now I have 200 minutes on the Medito app, plus a bunch of meditation sessions I did outside of Medito way before. But it was never consistent, and it's still not very consistent. But my headphones straight. I like it when it's on the side like this, because it looks weird when it's like... Anyway, enough from me micro judging my styling outfits. And the nice thing about Medito is in the beginning when you get off focus like every 2 seconds, literally, and you have a very hard time concentrating and starting with it, which is usually where people really get lost. It brings you back to focus quite often, and it has a beginner course, which is actually not all that. It's very beginner friendly, but it's not like, oh, anyone can do this. You actually have to focus. You actually have to dedicate the time. I know, crazy, right? Dedicate some effort, dedicate some attention. This is not just something, obviously meditation is not just something you do while you're watching Netflix. Also, the fact that it's free, right? It's free. It has beautiful music in the background that you can turn on, from chimes and water and fire crackling and anything. You turn up and down the volume. It's really good. And then, of course, the different speakers' voices. I quite like that as well. You can select different voices. Yeah. And then as you... Also, in the beginning, a lot of people don't do it properly. They just sit, and then they don't... And either they try to completely get rid of thoughts, which is completely wrong. I mean, yes, you are trying to do that. You're trying to refocus. But expecting yourself to completely be able to get rid of thoughts, just like, okay, now, no thoughts. And then you get a thought, and then you're like, oh, I suck at meditation. That's already the wrong approach, which a lot of people do, because they're thinking of, like, Buddhist monks who've done it for 20 years of their life, or longer, probably longer, since they're a child. And they come at it with completely the wrong approach. Because think about... It's like saying you're going to learn to walk overnight. It's like demanding a little 2-year-old to walk overnight. It's like, not 2-year-old, sorry, like 2-month-old or something. You can't... That's a lifelong skill. And so they go way too high, and then they give up. The point is that all those times when you get off focus, you notice yourself getting off focus. That's all meditation is. I bet you for the first 3 years of meditation, that's all meditation is. Just refocusing and noticing that you lost focus. That's it. When you get really advanced, you'll know what to do, but that's literally it. And when you get advanced, it's just this feeling, it's not thinking, like, it's not consciously thinking, I want to stop having thoughts or something. It's becoming so calm and being so in the moment, either by focusing on one thing or by simply absorbing everything, but not actively thinking about it or judging it. Because judging it or saying, I'm so bad at this or anything, those are all thoughts. Even frustration or most emotions usually turn into thoughts. So just a very tranquil mind is the equivalent of not having thoughts, because you're not concerned about any of your thoughts. You're not concerned about any of the sensations. Like, you hear a whistle, you're not thinking, oh, that's a loud whistle. You're not really, not even, I don't mean even judging in like, oh, that's a stupid whistle. I'm in like a derogatory way. I just mean thinking something about what stimuli just came in. You heard something, you probably thought a thought about it. And the interesting thing that I noticed is the more you do meditation, the more you notice that there's so many layers to thinking. And the crazy thing, when I talk to people who meditated for quite a while, because I know a few people, sadly, 2 of them were in their 90s and passed away recently, but they meditated a lot. And I had something happen, which I found very, very interesting, which was that it felt like I tapped into like the subconscious thoughts, and it's almost like it completely slipped past me. Like the person in your brain that's commenting on your thoughts, I noticed him speaking. Like, I noticed the person who's having thoughts about the thoughts speaking. And that was very, very bizarre. And then speaking to multiple people who've meditated for many years, somewhat consistently, maybe not in the traditional ways, that stereotypically you think of, like some Buddhist monk with crossed legs or whatever, but definitely meditation. They were talking that is definitely the goal, because there's so many thoughts that slip past you. And sorry, that's not the goal. The goal is to do that, noticing all those subconscious thoughts during the day, as you're going about your day. To meditate with eyes wide open, basically. Right? The point of meditation is not to sit in a cave alone and isolate yourself from society, and only then can you be happy. But the point is that you, throughout your day, catch all those subconscious thoughts. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Freud, I do see that his term of conscious and subconscious they're quite useful. He got a lot of things right, but he just didn't he got to the right conclusions, but he didn't understand why such things happened. like he observed the right thing, but then completely misunderstood why it happened. So I'll just keep it at that. If you know anything about Freud, you will probably know what I mean. It's like he'll be right about one thing, and then he'll have a whole tangent about it that's really weird, and you didn't even want to know it. Once you know about it, you wish you didn't. But anyway, what was it? Yes, meditation. And those subconscious thoughts, as you become an expert, you'll notice that more and more, and it's really crazy the kind of things you notice that you're thinking about yourself. And that really changes you, because you'll notice that when, for example, when I gravitate to really sugary food, it's, I mean, either out of absolute exhaustion and low blood sugar and not having the mentally having the energy to think about what I'm going to make myself, but just grabbing the granola bar or the chocolate bar. But aside from that, if I'm like eating out of boredom or anxiety or something, it's usually because I start thinking about all the things I have to do and what I haven't done, and etc. That, feeling of lacking something in some form or another. So you notice all these things that are actually causing you to, I guess you could say, as a broader category, seek dopamine, crave desire, whatever, give into it. But the point is that is extremely powerful once you start to notice your subconscious thoughts, so you can really recenter yourself. Because what really distinguishes us from, how do I flip the camera? Can't flip the camera here. What distinguishes us from, there we go, animals, is that we are really, okay, animals also think in the past, future, and present, but we, I would say, far more do so. Quite a lot more. And sometimes we get stuck in the past and future. And if we manage a way to stay in the present, through meditation, through whatever, gratitude journaling, other journaling, brain dumping, doing things where we get in the flow, for example, that's another example of really living in the present. Then we're just overall better humans. Obviously, you still need to think about the future because you need to plan, and you need to consider the past. If you have no memory of the past, you have no identity, you don't know who you are. There's a psychology thing where this one guy keeps losing his memory every like half an hour. It's real, trust me. I learned this in my college level psychology class. Anyway, very interesting stuff. But yeah, Medito is very, very good for that kind of stuff, because it really builds you up. And it's like people will start doing meditation, and then they'll listen to gratitude meditation and maybe empathy meditation, and then that'll be it. And then they'll do those two in perpetuum. But there's quite a lot more types, and the beginner course on Medito really helps you get a nice look at all of them. And it's just overall very well rounded. It gives you a lot of everything. And he's saying a little bit of everything is already wrong, because it gives you a lot of everything. And then it has all kinds of special meditations. Like, obviously meditation means many things. But there's also I guess thought experiment meditation, for college students, for moving out, for assignments, for all kinds of things, for the stresses of just becoming an actual adult and having to do your laundry and drive around, I guess. Very interesting stuff. So it's very well rounded, and I've enjoyed it a lot. However, even if a person doesn't progress later on from the Medito app, which I haven't yet, I'm hooked, it's great, I think that's perfectly fine, because the amount of difference that it's made is indescribable. I mean, literally 5 minutes can change the entire day for me. 5 minutes of just putting that time meditation thingy on, and then just having the sound on, the chimes or cymbals or whatever, and I'm back to me, you know? It's like I'll start thinking and making to-do lists about all the things I have to do, and then all my energy is already drained. And I just go on YouTube and watch some new Harry Potter theory or whatever, or some like 8-hour podcast, and there goes the day. But then I just force myself to be like 5 minutes of this. It's an excuse to lay down on the ground, somewhat like the people in yoga class, where it's just like it's an excuse to kind of fall asleep. But I almost never fall asleep when I do meditation. And even if I do, hey, I probably really needed the sleep. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Definitely, before you check out any of the paid programs. And the nice thing about meditation is that one thing that I was saying you to focus on, oftentimes that can be breath work. So you can combine your breath work and meditation along with each other. But, yeah, Medito really is more meditation centered and less breathwork centered. For people really heavy on mixing those two, it might not be what you're looking for. But honestly, you can mix it. It doesn't, like, there's no reason when they say focus on something, or like the focus part of the meditation, that you can't just focus on your breath. There's no reason not to. Alright, duty calls. I gotta pick up some dog feces. Alright. Good night. That's my review of Medito. I think it's very valuable, very good to use. Very great for beginners and after. Alright, see ya.